It is the final week of Six Nations action, if you don't count the game between France and Scotland that was postponed. I'm StattoJoe, you're a legend for watching this video, and I'm trying something a bit new today. I'm recording this live, so I may do this again in the future, but what I'm doing is I'm recording this live so I can get the benefits of Restream, which is an excellent service. I've been loving using it. And I'm just going to have a look at the stats of the games in the Six Nations, make my predictions, and then we'll see how this goes as a video. You know, if it works a bit better, then that will be pretty cool because hopefully the microphone won't lag, hopefully the sound will be a bit better, and all that kind of stuff. I'm never going to let you know if I'm doing these live. I'm just doing it live as a bit of a bonus. If people happen to show up and people happen to show up, do you know what I mean? It's not a big deal. But yeah, we're going to get straight into it. This is going to be hopefully a short as usual. And we're going to chat about the games this week. Now, obviously, it hangs in the balance. The big game will be the last thing we talk about, and we're going to start with probably the least interesting game, in my opinion, this week, which is Scotland versus Italy, which kicks off at 2:45 p.m., if I'm not mistaken. In fact, it might be 2:15, if I got that wrong. I apologise. It's at 2:15. So, silly me. Let me just edit that very quickly, and then we'll get back into it. That's silly from me there. I apologise. Let's get straight into it. Let's have a look at what the stats are saying for this game. So, obviously, both teams haven't had a great Six Nations. You know, Scotland have, after beating England the first week, they haven't really had much going for them. You know, they lost very, very narrowly to both Wales and Ireland. Games that really they didn't deserve to lose, but games that they lost nonetheless. If we just look at the stats, comparing the two teams, one thing to bear in mind when you're looking at these stats is that Scotland have only played 3 games, Italy have played 4. So the stats may look closer than they actually are, if that makes sense. So what we can see there is in the 3 games that Scotland have played, they've scored 59 points. Their last 2 games, they've scored 24 points, which is decent, you know. Italy have struggled, as you can see. You know, they've scored 45 in 4 games, which, you know, they're really on the back foot. There are still calls for Italy to go from the Six Nations because they're not competing at a high enough level. You know, they got absolutely rinsed by Wales and Ireland and England, you know, but all 3 teams scoring 40 points past them. They've managed 5 tries in those 4 games, which is okay. Scotland managed 7 and 3, which is a lot better. And you can just see, you know, points for 22. Scotland's got a really, really respectable 6.76. That's a really decent level. Italy at 5.19, which is again isn't bad, but it's not great. Scotland have managed one more line break and 1 less game, which is what we may see come into play in the game. And yeah, overall, Scotland kind of dominate the stats, and yet have played 1 less game. Now, in the tackles made, you know, obviously Italy have a lot more defending to do than other teams, and so whenever they are, that's why they've made more tackles in their games. My prediction, I think, won't really be a shock to a lot of people. I'm thinking personally that. So again, I'll say this every single time. Italy usually we think should, you know, get decent, you know, in the first 20 minutes, and then after that fall short. I personally think Scotland will hammer Italy. I think it'll be an easy bonus point. We saw in the game between Italy and Wales, Wales got the bonus point in 25 minutes or 30 minutes or something. So I think Scotland will maybe get the bonus point, certainly if not in the first half, in the first 10 minutes of the second half. And I think Scotland will win this game by at least 30 points. The second game then we go on to, which is a personal highlight and exciting game for me, is Ireland versus England, which kicks off at 4:45 p.m. Now let's just dive straight into this one. I don't think we need to talk about much here. This game is going to be really, really interesting, because both teams have had a substandard Six Nations. They've both done okay, but they both haven't been great either. England played some unbelievable rugby last week to beat France. Ireland almost looked like they were trying to lose the game against Scotland, but still managed to win. Both teams on 2 wins, both teams with 2 losses, if I'm not mistaken. And if we just look very briefly, it's good. This is a really good comparison because both teams have played 4 games. As you can see, Ireland have scored slightly more points. The difference really being in the Italy game, and also Ireland scored a lot more points against Scotland than England did, whereas England scored a lot more points against France than Ireland did. Both of teams have scored 10 tries, except Ireland have been very successful when they go to the opposition 22. Over 9 points. France have managed just below, or England, sorry, managed just below 8. I think we're looking at a really competitive game. England play, in my opinion, a lot better rugby than Ireland do. And I think, I don't know. I think, Ireland are very one-dimensional, in my opinion. Still managed to get victories in. They played a bit more free-flowing rugby on Sunday, but I don't know. I always get fearful whenever Ireland play England. It doesn't matter how well England are doing, how they're getting on. I always worry that England will be better than Ireland will be. We can see that defensively Ireland are very, very good. They've made a lot more tackles than England. Well, not a lot more, but they've certainly made more in a percentage compared to attempted tackles. They've done really well. Both teams' lineouts have been very good. They've exactly the same stats on lineouts. But yeah, I think this is going to be a really, really tight game. And it breaks my heart to say this, but I really do think that England will win this game by 3 points. I do think it's going to be really tight. It really wouldn't surprise me if it went either way. But I think personally that England will win this game by 3 points. That's my final prediction. And the big one, the massive game, is France versus Wales, which kicks off at 8 p.m. And this really is the decider, right? This match is the deciding fixture in the whole game, in the whole competition. If France win, they could very well go on to win the Six Nations. And if Wales win, of course, they get the Grand Slam. A couple of things for you to know. Wales have never, ever not won the Grand Slam when they've won the first 4 games. Okay, so whenever they've won their first 4 games, Wales have always gone on to win the Grand Slam. Let's look at the stats. Again, can't really compare to the same way that we can compare the Ireland-England stats, just because France have played 1 less game than Wales. So Wales obviously have more points and more tries. But look at this, points per visit the opposition 22. Nearly 14.5 points compared to France's 8.5. Absolutely mad stuff from Wales. Haven't missed a single penalty, which is pretty impressive. And, fair play to them. I said in my predictions video before the tournament started, I said that Wales would finish 5th. And people agreed with me. I think a lot of people have been really surprised by Wales. There's arguments for the first 3 games that they were handed results in terms of the 2 red cards in the first 2 games for the opposition team, and then the referee's controversial decisions in the England game. But they were so convincing against Italy. They got the bonus point in half an hour, as I said earlier, and they played some excellent, excellent rugby. I don't know what's going to happen. France played some excellent rugby in the first half against England, sort of fell away a wee bit in the second half. But I think this stat here, I should really mark this because this is just crazy. This here is just insane. 14.5 points for the opposition 22. Ruthless. Obviously that's not how it works, because you can only get 7. But I think what this kind of, because obviously with penalties and things, that doesn't count as a visit to opposition 22. They're just ruthless, Wales. Far better than we thought they would do as a collective, I think. I don't think that's unfair to say. And yeah, I think personally now, for me, I'm going to have to eat a bit of humble pie. And I'm going to have to say that I think Wales are going to win the Grand Slam. I really do. I think we're looking at a Wales win by no more than 5 or 6 points for the Grand Slam, which is going to be a shame for the France-Scotland game. It's really going to be a dead rubber because there's nothing to play for. But I think, in my opinion, Wales will win by 5 or 6 points. They were my predictions. Let me know in the comments down below what you think is going to happen this weekend. I'd be really, really interested to hear. And also let me know what you think of recording this live with this new layout and things. Let me know what you think. I'd really love to hear your thoughts. And I'm going to be live tomorrow night from 8 o'clock for Newcastle Brighton. So if you're going to join me live, chill, have a bit of a chat, have a bit of crack. You're more than welcome. Come join. I'll be live. I'll be posting on social media. Links are on the descriptions for social media. And if you're new to the channel and you've just seen this, why not subscribe? I'd really, really appreciate it. It would be great. So they were my predictions. I'd love to hear yours in the comments. And I'll see you tomorrow night for the live stream.